The period between 1921 and 1925 was a significant and transformative era in the history of Internazionale Milano, Inter Milan, marked by organizational changes, key players, and crucial victories that helped establish the club as a force in Italian football. This time frame includes the club's first major national title and foundational developments that would influence its future successes. Let's dive deeper into the details of Inter Milan's journey during this period. First, organizational changes and restructuring. 1921. 1921 was a pivotal year for Inter Milan as the club underwent important structural and managerial changes. These shifts helped lay the foundation for future growth, both on and off the pitch. Social and organizational changes. During this time, Italian football was transitioning from amateur to professional status, and Inter Milan began to embrace these changes. The club made efforts to professionalize its management and infrastructure, which included changes in the club's leadership and internal organization. Separation from the Milan Cricket and Football Club. In 1921, the club faced internal issues and split from the Milan Cricket and Football Club after a period of collaboration. Although this split caused some internal conflict, it reinforced Internazionale's identity as a club committed to professional football. This shift allowed Inter to focus on building its own distinct football culture. Management changes. The club's leadership saw changes during this period with a stronger emphasis on professional management. This transition would pay off in the long term as the club focused on growing both its footballing structure and its fan base. 2. Early challenges and struggles, 1921 to 1923. The early years of the 1920s were challenging for Inter Milan as the club struggled to find consistency in the Italian football league Serie A. The team was competitive but did not yet reach the level of the league's top clubs. Inconsistent performance. Between 1921 and 1923, Inter Milan was unable to secure a major title. The team was regularly in the middle of the standings in Serie A, and while they had flashes of brilliance, their performances were not consistently enough to challenge for the title. Financial and tactical struggles. The club faced financial difficulties, as was common for many teams in the early stages of professional football. Moreover, the team's tactical organization and player performances were not at the level of Italy's most dominant clubs, making it harder for Inter to break into the top ranks. Player retention issues. Inter also struggled to retain top talent, with some players leaving for rival clubs. This instability in the playing squad hindered the team's ability to form a consistent championship-contending squad. Third, Vittorio Pozzo's arrival in 1924 to 1925 Serie A championship. The 1924 to 1925 season marked a dramatic turning point for Inter Milan. Under the guidance of Vittorio Pozzo, the team achieved its first Serie A championship, which solidified the club's status as a dominant force in Italian football. Vittorio Pozzo's appointment, 1924, Pozzo as manager. Vittorio Pozzo, one of Italy's most celebrated football managers, was appointed as Inter's head coach in 1924. Pozzo would later lead the Italian national team to victory in the 1934 World Cup, cementing his legacy in world football. His tactical acumen and innovative approach helped transform Inter Milan into a title-winning team. Pozzo's tactical approach. Pozzo instilled a highly organized defensive system in the team. He implemented a tactical style that focused on solid defensive work combined with quick counterattacks. This approach would later become known as the Catenaccio system, a style of play that emphasized strong defensive formations and opportunistic counterattacks. Pozzo's methods proved essential in Inter's success in the 1924 to 1925 season. The 1924 to 1925 Serie A championship historic title. In the 1924 to 1925 Serie A season, Inter Milan won its first ever league title. This was a monumental achievement for the club and marked the beginning of its rise to prominence in Italian football. The championship victory was significant not only for the title itself, but also for what it represented in terms of the club's development and potential for future success. Key players. The team's success was built around standout players like Giuseppe Meazza, Renato Cesarini, and Attilio De Maria. Giuseppe Meazza, one of the greatest Italian footballers of all time, was crucial in Inter's attacking play. His skill and vision in the forward positions helped propel the team to the top of Serie A. Renato Cesarini and Attilio De Maria were also key contributors to the team's overall success during this period. Team play and defensive solidity. Under Pozzo's leadership, the team was not only more disciplined defensively, but also became more cohesive as a unit. The defense was organized and the attack was efficient. Inter's ability to balance a solid defense with quick attacking transitions made them a formidable force in Serie A during this time. Celebrating the championship. After winning the 1924-1925 Serie A title, Inter Milan celebrated its first major league triumph, an achievement that was celebrated by fans and marked the club as a rising power in Italian football. This victory served as a springboard for future success, both domestically and internationally, as the club established itself as one of the elite teams in Italy. Fourth, financial growth and structural development, 1925. Financial stability, the 1924 to 1925. Serie A title significantly boosted Inter Milan's financial standing. Success on the pitch led to increased revenue from ticket sales, sponsorships, and merchandise. The club's profile grew, attracting more fans and establishing a stronger financial foundation for future growth. Expansion of the fan base. With their first Serie A championship, Inter began to expand its fan base both in Milan and across Italy. The iconic blue and black colors became a symbol of the club, and its growing success helped solidify its place as one of Italy's most important football institutions. The club's culture and identity. The 1920s were formative years in shaping Inter Milan's identity. The club's culture began to crystallize, with a focus on professionalism, discipline, and a strong connection to its supporters. This era marked the beginning of the long-lasting relationship between the club and its passionate fan base. 5. Long-term impact and legacy rising power in Italian football. The success of the 1924-1925 season set the stage for Inter Milan's future dominance in Italian football. Following this breakthrough, the club would go on to win more Serie A titles and establish itself as one of the premier football clubs in Italy and Europe. Pozzo's legacy. The 1924-1925 Serie A title was a key milestone in Vittorio Pozzo's career, both as a club coach and later as a national team coach. His tactical ideas and leadership left a lasting imprint on Inter Milan and Italian football in general. Giuseppe Meazza's legacy. Giuseppe Meazza, one of Inter's standout players during this period, would become a legendary figure in the club's history. His performances in the 1920s cemented his status as one of the greatest players to ever wear the Inter shirt. Conclusion. The period between 1921 and 1925 was a transformative era for Inter Milan, as the club made the crucial transition from relative obscurity to prominence in Italian football. The 1924-1925 Serie A championship was a historic achievement that solidified the club's position among Italy's elite. Under Vittorio Pozzo's management, Inter Milan laid the groundwork for future success, blending tactical discipline with individual brilliance. The club's rise to the top of Serie A during this period marked the beginning of a golden era for Inter Milan, which would go on to dominate Italian football in the decades that followed. Official club name change, 1922. Club name change. In 1922, the club officially adopted the name Internazionale, Inter Milan. This change reflected the club's desire to create a more international identity, differentiating it from other Italian teams. The name symbolized Inter's commitment to an inclusive philosophy, welcoming players from different countries, and it set the stage for the club to become a global entity. A global identity. This name change was significant for Inter Milan as it laid the foundation for the club's future expansion beyond Italy. Over the years, Inter would become one of the most recognized names in European and global football. New management and structural reforms, 1921 to 1924. Change in leadership. In the early 1920s, the club underwent a significant leadership change. The new board of directors took a more professional approach to managing the club, which led to improved financial stability and operational efficiency. Financial growth. Under new leadership, Inter Milan's finances were strengthened, which allowed the club to improve player salaries, facilities, and overall organizational structure. This financial boost also helped the club build a stronger foundation for future success. First national success. Coppa Italia and other tournaments. First Coppa Italia participation, 1921. Inter Milan participated in the Coppa Italia for the first time in 1921. Although the club did not win, this marked the beginning of their involvement in national cup competitions. Over the following years, Inter would go on to have more success in Italian cup competitions. Other Italian tournaments. During this period, Inter also competed in various regional and national tournaments, which helped the team gain experience and visibility. These early cup runs contributed to the club's growth as a competitive force in Italy. Increase in foreign players in Italian football. Foreign players. During the 1920s, foreign players became increasingly common in Italian football. Inter Milan was one of the first clubs to embrace the inclusion of foreign talents, particularly from South America. Argentine players, such as Attilio Di Maria, played an important role in strengthening the team's attacking play. Diversified player pool. The inclusion of foreign players not only strengthened the team but also brought new styles of play and tactics to the squad. This international approach to recruitment set the foundation for Inter's future success on the European stage. Development of the San Siro Stadium. San Siro's foundation. In 1925, the construction of San Siro Stadium began, marking the beginning of what would become one of the most iconic football stadiums in the world. While the stadium's completion would not happen until the later 1920s, the first steps were taken during this period. A modern home, San Siro would eventually become the home of Inter Milan, and its construction was a key milestone in the club's professionalization. The stadium would not only serve as a home ground, but also as a symbol of the club's growing stature. First international experience and growing European presence. First international matches. During this time, Inter Milan began to play international friendly matches against teams from other European countries. These early international engagements helped the club gain recognition outside Italy and paved the way for future European competitions. Strengthening European relations. Through these international matches, Inter Milan started building relationships with other European clubs and strengthening its identity as a prominent football club in Europe. Tactical evolution and player profiles. Tactical developments. The 1920s saw the beginning of tactical developments in Italian football. Inter Milan was one of the teams that embraced the catenaccio, a defensive system, and fast counter-attacking football. Under coach Vittorio Pozzo, Inter's focus shifted toward a more disciplined defensive style while still maintaining the ability to launch quick counterattacks. Rise of key players. During this period, Giuseppe Meazza emerged as one of the key players for the club. Meazza's technical ability, leadership, and goal-scoring prowess were crucial to Inter's success. He would go on to become one of the club's greatest ever players and a symbol of the team's attacking strength. Social structure and fan base expansion. Fan culture. The 1920s also marked the period when Inter Milan's fan base started to grow significantly. The club's early successes, such as winning the 1924 to 1925 Serie A title, contributed to increased fan engagement and the development of a passionate, organized supporter base. Social life and community engagement. The club was also active off the pitch. It organized cultural events, social meetings, and gatherings for its supporters. This helped foster a strong sense of community and loyalty among Inter's growing fan base. Key players and the beginning of a football dynasty. Giuseppe Meazza. One of the standout players of the 1924 to 1925 season was Giuseppe Meazza, who would later become one of Inter Milan's greatest legends. Meazza's contributions were crucial in Inter's success, and his legacy is still celebrated today. Attilio Di Maria. Another important player during this period was Attilio Di Maria. an Argentine forward who played a key role in Inter's offensive strength. His technical ability and vision made him an important figure in the team's evolution. Conclusion: the period between 1921 and 1925 was a transformative era for Inter Milan. The club underwent significant organizational changes, achieved national success with their first Serie A title, and began their expansion beyond Italy through international matches and recruitment of foreign players. The construction of San Siro, the rise of key players like Giuseppe Meazza, and the tactical innovations introduced by Vittorio Pozzo all contributed to Inter Milan's growth into one of the most prominent football clubs in Italy and Europe. These years laid the foundation for the club's long-term success and helped shape its identity as a global football powerhouse.